What's up, guys? So I just wanted to make a quick video. I know a couple of you were asking about, like, Paul, what makes you add a stock, averaging down on something if it's down, say, 5% or so, or versus cutting it and taking a loss. So the simplest answer is confidence, and the other thing is your game plan, right? So if you're playing a stock and you take a 10% loss, and you see the stock rip after that, chances are, now this happens to everybody, but most of the time it's somewhat user error, as in you could have prevented it. And now again, this happens to me, guys, I all the time. I mean, I cut something and it ends up going. That's the name of the game, and it's going to happen. It's our job to kind of try to avoid it as much as possible. But um, the first thing that I would think about is, what is your game plan, right? So let's just say you're swing trading, and if you're new, you're probably doing more swings than day trading. Um, Actually, I think most people, even now, like I usually have more swings going than day trades, especially if the market's not so hot. You're really only doing so many day trades in one day, especially if you're picky. Um, so if you're taking a swing, the first thing that you want to do is you need to learn how to look at a chart, right? So I'm going to take MGOL for example. So we've played this, as you know, multiple times. We've played this from um, actually from here, from around like mid 11s. We got a nice mid 11 catch here. We played it to 14. That was 25%, which I remember telling you guys, remember, take profits, sell out, scale out. MGOLs come back down, right? Hits a reloading zone. I'll reload, like I say to you, and then it may pop up again, 20%. These pops that happen here, I'm always scaling somehow, even if it's a small portion, 10%, 15%, 20%, because until the stock's really ready, you're missing out on profits that could easily be happen, right? So the first thing is, if you're taking a 10% loss, look at the stock that you're in and say, all right, was I green on this at one time? If the answer is yes, and you didn't take any profits, then that's your fault. You want to look at this and say, all right, so MGOL, I put $10,000 in, let's just say. MGOL, I just bought back in, like I said to you guys over the other day, for a pop. So let's just say I bought back in here. My average is 1151. So 1151. If this pops back up to, to high 13s, I may be up, right? $2,000. I'm going to sell 10% of that, because if it's not ready and it comes back down, I will buy that dip. Now, I look at the levels and I go, okay, if I look at this stock, I go, all right, I'm comfortable adding in this zone here, essentially, right? Here are the zones. You want to add, of course, as cheap as possible. So I was waiting, like I remember saying in our chat, in the channel, I was like, I didn't add any MGOL on that dip, because honestly, I was looking for it to come a bit lower. And the reason I was looking for that is I looked at this candle right here, and I saw the bottom wick, which was, I'd put 1126, but it was 1125. It's basically the same thing. And I said, all right, if I can get as close to 1126 as possible, I'll add, right? Now it literally basically bounced off to the exact penny, 1126. I didn't get 1126 because I always bid slightly above, just in case it doesn't get filled. But I bid, a position above. Now you have to remember, okay, if this breaks, theoretically, it could come back down and touch 10 again. So if the total amount I want to put in this stock is $10,000, maybe I'll put $3,000 in here, around 11.5. Let's just say 11.5, 11.6. This way, if it drops back down to 10, I could add another $3,000 down here. So now I'm in 6,000 of my total position of 10,000. Okay, you average down. It held this support. Now, if you're very confident in the stock, you could make the argument that you'll average down again. But I personally always like, if I'm swinging something, I want to find what the levels are for the bottom. So like me, if MGOL broke 10 and made new all-time lows, I would cut it and I would be out. But just if it's just sitting in this channel here between 11, it's going up to 12.5, it comes back to 11.5. It's just sitting in this channel here. It's not really, it's not doing anything wrong. Um, it's just consolidating and waiting for some volume to push it. So you want to be patient with those dips. Having a good entry is what's going to make you a better trader. Not even more for like technical reasons, but profit wise. I can't tell you how many times, I would buy a stock, and let's just say it's like, all right, it doesn't matter. I'll buy MGOL at 12.5, and I'm gonna toss my money in. That's fine if you want to buy it at 12.5, but don't throw 10,000. If your total is 10,000, don't just put $10,000 in at 12.5. It makes no sense, because the stock could very easily come back down, to low 11s, and that's a 10% drop, right here. So now you're down $1,200 for no reason, instead of having, you know, half of that money sidelined to where you could have a better average and lower it. You with pennies, and really with day trades it's harder, but when you're playing swings, the best thing to do is get a great entry, because that's what's going to maximize your gains. That 10% makes a huge difference, because you're talking people that have bought it down here versus buying it at 13. These people may be taking profit already. Where you would be up 1,000 or 1,500, whatever the amount is, $100. It doesn't even matter. But the biggest advice I could give you is try to make sure that your entry is as close to what your support levels are. And if you don't know how to do support levels, we could do another video on that. But you want to make sure that your entries are as close to this. And worst case is, if it doesn't hit a lower level for you to add, then you know that your buy that you have up here is safe. There's no reason to rush it. You'll know if your swings are ready, because more than likely it'll have 2-3 times its average volume, and it'll make its move, right? So if, like MGOL for example, its volume the other day was 48 million. So if MGOL on Monday has 30 million in volume, I know that that's not going to be enough volume to send this to 17 cents, right? So if it hits 14 on Monday on 30 million volume, I'm going to take some profits, because I know that that's not enough volume to really squeeze it up, and it could probably come back down. So you might as well trim some off, and it comes back down, you could always add it back down. That's why I always say scale out on the rips, and you could always buy back in on the dips. And that's how you can, in a way, compound your position, to where you may take a stock that you play 3-4 times, and you could really add money on it. Like, I've already played MGOL. This will be my third time. Not full cash outs, but I bought it here around 11, sold it around 4. I didn't get 14s, but I sold it like right below 14, like 13.9. Right, all right, perfect. That was almost 20. That was a 20% gainer. It's come back down. I added it again at 11.5. It hit 13 again. Scaled some out again. That was another 15% gainer. Right now it's come back down again. So like before it's make its move, I've already made like maybe 2, 3, 4, 15 to 25% trades on it. This way, if things don't work out and it comes back down, and say you cut it for a quote-unquote loss, you're still in the money, because these little base hits that you've used to add to hit it adds up, and it ends up washing it out. So that would be my biggest advice. Stocks that I don't average down on, I would say are probably stocks that are just what I call like illiquid. So if you're playing a stock and you're swinging it, and it's basically getting zero volume every single day, and it's just dropping, you want to usually try to avoid averaging down so much on plays like that, because if it's not getting volume and it's getting like low volume walk downs, it could bleed out until it's time for it to bounce. So I would try to stick away from things like that. Also, if you're doing a day trade, remember that these stocks are running most of the time off news, if you're playing news stocks or catalysts, right? So if your plan isn't working out based off that news, then I would cut it and take the loss, right? So I'll give you an example. QMMM, I bought the other day, right? So I bought this the other day. The chart looked good, everything looked good. Um, but that volume really wasn't there. Like it had 500, had half of the volume that it had the day before. Um, I saw some loading happening, but it wasn't making its move. So I bought in, right? Because I was like, you know what? Maybe they'll try it and I'll buy in. But then the stock started to sell off because there just wasn't enough volume to really push it through, and I took a tiny loss on it. It happens. It is what it is. Now, if I was swinging this for a long-term swing, then what I would have done was I would have said, all right, I'll add a little bit here around, let's just say 80. If it drops back down, I'll add a little bit more here around 64. You could even say 56. Could go anywhere around here. Um, so like I would have a game plan. This was just a day trade. So when you're playing day trades, you want to be more flimsy with if it's not working out, just cutting it and taking a loss. So you want to make sure the plays are once if someone once told me if you're buying something expecting it to be a day trade and it turns into a swing trade, then you probably already fucked up. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, I'm going to try to keep doing more videos of these, so feel free, pop questions in. This way I can make a list and give you videos as they come out. All right, talk to you guys later, and let's have a good week next week.